All right.
Try to reinforce.
Hi guys, my name is Toby Wong and I will be the first speaker for this topic. Our main claim for the affirmative side is that the Animal Welfare Act is ineffective and will provide an adequate protection to all animals from animal testing and should be extended to ban animal testing on any animal. There should be a ban on the use of animals in medical research, and it should be replaced with an alternative that is more effective in terms of less cruelty and less expensive. Now, to begin with this claim, to back it up and give you some background, in the U.S., the species most commonly used in experiments, which include mice, rats, birds, fish, reptiles, and amphibians, they comprise of 99% of all animals in laboratories, but are specifically exempted from even the minimal protections of the federal AWA. This just proves that minimizing the pain and suffering of animals for medical research is not a priority for the AWA, and at the end of the day, these are still animals that deserve respect. Now, when a study done in the U.S., 3 in 4 voters say that they would feel safer or as safe if non-animal methods were used to test the safety of a cosmetic instead of animal testing. Now, another study done for the public, it says that in 2012, the public were less trusting of scientists not to cause unnecessary suffering in the animals involved, which is 47%, but they are less alert to the possibility of experiments being needlessly duplicated, which is 51%. So what this is saying is that a lot of tests are redone multiple times, which increases costs and increases suffering for animals. Now, the significance of this claim, outside of dogs, cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, and hamsters, all other animals are subject to not living in actual life and instead are going to be exposed to animal cruelty that is not protected under the AWA. Animals are a part of our life and are an important part of our world and our ecosystem, so they should be protected. Now, to talk about how these animals are being cruelly treated, as unbelievable as it may seem, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, requires by law that pesticides be tested on dogs, who are then shoved into inhalation chambers where they try in vain to escape the deadly poisons that are pumped in. There's also the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, which requires companies marketing fluoride products, which is toothpaste, to swab the teeth of 200 rats with a test substance for 2 weeks, at which time the animals are killed and their heads baked in the oven for an hour. To further the significance, compared to other countries than the U.S., the European Union has held long-standing opposition to animal testing, with the ban on animal-tested cosmetics first introduced into law in 2004. In 2009, the ban widened to include animal-tested ingredients, and in 2013, the EU announced a ban on the import and rate and sale of cosmetics containing ingredients tested on animals. Not too long after that, Norway also announced a ban on cosmetics tested on animals around the same time in 2013. Now, for our inherency, we are saying that the Animal Welfare Act was not intended to regulate how animals are used for research purposes, but only set standards for how they are obtained and maintained at a facility. Now, to begin, over 100 million animals are burned, crippled, poisoned, and abused in U.S. labs every year. This just proves that they don't care about how the animals are actually being taken care of. As long as the standards are being met, like being fed and kept alive, it is not animal cruelty in their eyes. To further this point, a lot of animal welfare and animal rights advocates are completely different. Animal rights has to do with completely banning any animal use, and animal welfare is for how they're treated. So the Animal Welfare Act actually doesn't have to do with animal rights at all. It's just making sure that they are kept alive in a sense. Now, for solvency, we believe that there should be alternatives put in place for animals for scientific research rather than actually testing on animals. Some of these include organs on ships, was created by Harvard's Wyeth Institute. It contains human cells grown in a state-of-the-art system to mimic the structure and function of human organs and organ systems. They're much more similar to humans than actual animals. Approximately 47% of NIH-funded research involved experimentation on non-animals, and in 2012, NIH budgeted nearly $30 billion for research and development, which is much more expensive than it would be if we used products created in labs rather than actual animals. And finally, in an article published in the Journal of American Medical Association, researchers found that medical treatments developed in animals rarely translated to humans, and most of the time actually failed when tested on humans after animals.